The Critical Thinker.
Hello, my name is Aria.
I'm Rehan.
And I'm Faraj. Welcome to the Critical Thinkers. For today's topic, I thought we should dive into some literature. So boys, I've been doing some reading in my own time, and I came across this short story called The Stolen Party by Liliana Hecker. Have you guys read it by any chance?
Yup.
Of course.
Oh, perfect. Well, for the viewers that haven't read the story, here's a quick rundown. A young girl by the name of Rosara gets invited to a party by a friend. Throughout this party, she spent most of her time doing tasks given by the mother in the house, Senora Inez. We later find out that she was only invited to this party as a maid and never as a guest. This led me to do some thinking, and I found that the key issue of inequality between the upper and lower class in the story can be greatly compared with many real-life issues. For example, the disproportionate distribution of money in favor of the wealthy.
Yes, exactly just like how the rich employ the poor and pay them low wages. Then the poor pay taxes on their hard-earned money while the rich don't pay their fair share of taxes. Instead, they dodge them using loopholes and other methods. This results in the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. It can be argued that the rich are essentially stealing from the poor.
Yeah, we can see this issue being played out by the characters. In the story, we see that Rosora was doing tasks for Senora Inez because she believed herself to be the most well-behaved child at the party. But it turned out that she was just brought over to do work and get paid, like an employee. In this case, Senora Inez is representing the rich who steals the party from Rosora, who is representing the poor.
I see. So the name The Stolen Party really showed how her feeling of freedom and rights were stolen from her. The moment she was given the chance to take the money was the moment she stayed in this loop of master and servant. We never do get to see if she broke this loop, and I personally believe she doesn't. Just like the loop we see with slavery in real life, where many slaves never break away from the cycle.
I think a loop is a very good way of putting it. We observe it in real life all the time. Just as in the story, children are often not in this loop yet. They are able to be friends because they are oblivious to their socioeconomic class. Once children realize how different their upbringings are, they gain a feeling of superiority, mostly due to the way their parents taught them, and the infinitely delicate balance mentioned in the story is shattered. A balance that used to be their sense of equality, destroyed as they become stuck in the everlasting cycle of hatred between the rich and the poor.
Well, children aren't the only ones who are oblivious. The adult wealthy too also share this problem due to the fact that they show a lack of awareness in the treatment they give to people in the same socioeconomic class as Rosora's. We see this problem occur near the end of the story when Rosora is in a state of shock when Senora Inez pulls out the money. You would think that Senora Inez would show some sort of concern for her reaction, but instead, she stays motionless and doesn't dare draw back the money, as described in the text.
Speaking of treatment, one good example we have seen recently is the mistreatment of employees in Apple's sweatshops, especially in countries like China and India where riots have broken out because of the pay being withheld from the workers by management. Their lack of action with this problem has led many workers to take their lives. Instead of fixing this problem, the higher-ups decided to place suicide nets. It's crazy to me how one of the biggest companies in the world would rather find an unethical workaround than address the problem head-on.
Another specific example of unequal treatment from the upper class to the lower class can be found with the CEO of Amazon, Jeff Bezos. Multiple reports came out from the warehouse employees talking about their awful working conditions. A lot of these workers faced multiple injuries in the warehouse, barely got any breaks while on duty, and rarely got any social interaction amongst themselves. Not to mention that the workers are only paid minimum wage. Meanwhile, Bezos is making millions upon millions. Many protests by the workers were held since 2016, and all Jeff Bezos did was make one single statement 5 years later. His inaction further proves the lack of remorse that is shown by the rich to the poor.
What both of you said really shows the hoarding of wealth by the rich, whether it is the gambling industry taking advantage of people's addictions, loan sharks and banks who prey on the young and naive to sell their expensive debt to, or individuals like Senora Ines, who treat the poor as lesser people. These topics we discussed are all great examples of how the rich steal from the poor, which is exactly what happens in the story, hence the name, the Stolen Party. The inequality between them will continue to stay relevant unless something is done to address and solve the issue.
Exactly. I knew bringing up this key issue in the story would bring some great conversation. Well, I think that wraps things up for today, boys. To all our viewers at home, thank you for listening to this broadcast, and we hope to see you on the next episode of The Critical Thinkers.
See you.
Thanks for listening, and remember to leave your thoughts in the comments and be sure to subscribe.